the roll credits of this adventure.
This is the end, my friend.
Yes, I'm CJ Spencer.
I'm History Nerd.
I'm Marco.
Is still sleeping?
I don't know.
I'm the flag hunting guy.
Sorry if we didn't brought to you an official release date for this live. If we weren't able to be more specific, and for this 3 days log silence, but differently from our expectations, the final days have been really stressful and really difficult. So we simply had not the strength to settle and prepare this live, and we didn't have even time.
Jet lag is some serious stuff, honestly.
In fact, as you see right now, we're on live right from my house. I'm not even sure. Honestly, I'm not even sure how many people will be able to see this live on live. They'll see it in a second time. But I wanted to make this as long as we're still all together, since Flagrant Guy is expected
I will return to my secret bunker in Italy. Also, there's a cat here. Hello there.
There's a cat here. Is a
Yes.
problem?
His secret? No. His secret bunker where he is plotting the conquest by San Marino.
Okay, this live is thought to have a final checkout, a final
Yes.
consideration about this journey. So I think I leave you the word, first one, then the other. If you want to say something to make a point, I will let you speak freely. So I think we can start with the history, the Flagrant Guy. Too similar.
I passed the ball to the history nerd. I mean,
Gaby's.
The night, if you need me, you know where is to find.
All right.
Yes.
yeah.
Yes.
Do you want to
I will pass the ball.
pass for now?
Yeah.
So I leave the word to history nerd.
Well, just to wrap this up, we'll also say that despite a few issues, the voyage home was came off without a hitch, because we had just a few last minute things that were quite worrying, but in the end everything went well, except the weather when we came back here in Venice, and it was raining cats and dogs, guys.
This is my curse. Every time I visit Venice, the weather sucks.
Very well. All right, that being said, well, what can we say to wrap this up, to speak about what we've seen? Well, maybe I've said it before, but I went there without, in a way, without expectations. I mean, it's not like I wanted to do this and go there, and I mean, I was going with the flow. I mean, there were a few things I wanted to see, and I'm grateful we were able to see them, like the Saitama Museum, the Mikasa, the Kure Museum, and which I would have been rather sad if we hadn't been able to. But
Not to mention that we lost the opportunity to visit Kyoto Museum because my bad luck as
mine too, because I have a streak of bad luck when it comes to railway museums. But we'll see it next time.
There will be other occasions.
Yes. That being said, I wanted this to be a rather new experience. I wanted this to be a rather way to see something rather completely foreign. I mean, because I mean, it's something completely working on a different level than what we work now here. It's not just better or worse. It's just different. I mean, we already said that we probably wouldn't live there if we had the choice, because how they work around the clock, how they it's just it would be too much of an effort to adapt. I mean, I would probably have a nervous breakdown or something like that.
So it's always it often happens even to in Japanese.
Yes,
So
and I have a friend who gave us some decent advice before, a few pointers, who lived there for 10 years and in the end chose to come back to Italy because apart from a certain distaste of how she was being treated, because tourists are one thing, but foreigners who live in Japan are
something different.
yes, and her being a woman was difficult for her. That being said, I saw colors I didn't see for quite a long time, maybe ever. I mean, these late autumn colors, early winter colors were very peculiar. I mean, by checking the pictures I took with my phone, sending them a bit to my family and friends, they left me quite speechless. I mean, only those would be quite worth having gone there, in my opinion. More than anything about the cherry blossom season and all that deal. I mean, those colors were really impressive. Then I mean, being a railway fan, I've seen also a complete different set of railways. I mean, they work on a different scale.
Was
But it was
exciting
quite-
to
Yes, it was very interesting. It was we saw quite a bit of them. We even traveled a bit on a diesel train, you know, the Thunderbird, to get to Kanazawa, if
Yes.
I'm not mistaken.
and even the old train for Orai.
Well, yes, it was not that old, but it was on the older side. Then
The platypus.
yes, well, the Shinkansen, the N700, and well, that being said, then I'm not very much into the nightlife, but what I glimpsed in Tokyo when we got there, and then in Kyoto and Osaka was really peculiar. I mean, it's I've never met places where it's so alive by night. I mean, but again, I'm not.
Nightman.
No, I'm not. So it was quite powerful for me, but it was interesting also because of the various, tourist traps, you know, bouncers who invite you in and the like. Then the
And well, I will tell you. And you two still have the advantage that you're clearly just looking at you. They could understand you were foreigners.
yes, because it happened to him that he was mistaken, and well, it happens. On the other hand, I myself, when I speak, people ask me whether I'm foreign. When I speak in Italian, I mean, because it seems I have a weird accent or something. Well,
Maybe it's the result of your being
I don't
multicultural.
know. No, I don't know. It's how I've
I have the opposite.
spoken,
I have
and
the opposite issue.
and I've never really, I've never grown up without speaking dialect or something, so I don't really understand. Well, that being said, another thing I was a bit worried about when I started off was the food. I mean, because I tend to be a rather difficult eater, and I was worried that I would not be able to find something. But in the end, I think I adapted quite well. We ate quite well, and even in the 3 instances where we got a ready meal, I mean, when I tried it with relative ease, and I was quite satisfied. I mean, It's quite of a personal triumph for me because I mean, having been a picky eater for so long, me being able to get out a bit of my comfort zone was, I consider this a success for me.
Just to get to as a final words, one thing you suggest to do and one thing you suggest not to do in Japan.
Um,
Not to do in sense that it made you feel a bit uneased, out of place.
well, it's difficult to say. I mean, there are plenty of things I would say that ought to be done. I mean, and I think going back on the previous slides, they will be able to see them rather well. Things that should not be done. I mean, it's a bit difficult to say. I mean, apart from staying away from the obvious tourist traps, I mean, those clubs that you get there and you have cover charges of tens of thousands of yens for one or two drinks or stuff like that.
Just a moment, wait for me. Just a moment.
And after that, well, one thing. Just try not to travel by train during the rush hours,
Yes.
especially if you have suitcases or the like, because it can be a really difficult thing to do, especially on the more busiest stations like Tokyo, Shinjuku, or Akihabara.
It's not. Something that, in my opinion, should never be done. Is to move between cities on Monday, because Monday is the worst day.
Yes, because after the weekend, of course, plenty of people are moving around, and yes.
We saw it that if you visit when we since we watched Amamatsu show in every day, it was completely different from Monday, even 9 o'clock. Monday was terrible. Tuesday, Wednesday were crowded, but not so crowded like
Yes.
Monday.
Now that made me think of one more thing. Just always check the time for when you want to go to a museum or a restaurant too, because I mean, we said we had a few issues because we had to move early because museums close up quite early, and also we had a little bit of an awkward thing when we went to that restaurant that was closing down, and
Yes,
we
but,
didn't realize.
okay.
I mean, there are plenty of options of restaurants that stay open
Till late.
into too late, or even at all times, and there are always the convenience, but always be careful.
Yes, just you have to consider, and this is even regarding how much the stations are crowded. The place where we were in Tokyo, Minato City, is a notoriously place for offices, for
Yes,
bureaucratic.
but in the end,
So it's very frequented, very crowded by salarymen. So that's the reason for which
Yes.
during the working hours it's really overcrowded.
yes,
It depends on the place, what place of the city you want to visit. For example, my first dream was to stay in Kabukicho or around Kabukicho, around Shinjuku. In that occasion, it was quite probably that we found the overcrowded at late evening. On the other hand, it was a bit easier to find open restaurants, because in a place filled with offices, with companies, it's quite understandable that the restaurants closes quite soon or sooner, because if the offices, if the
Yes.
salarymen leave,
yes,
Well, depending if they stay for extra hours.
Yes.
Oh, if there were.
Rather, the place where we went to eat was a place geared for that kind of things. I mean, it was a place where people could eat cheaply and into late hours. So one going into like overtime
Yes.
or the like could get there at 11 p.m., midnight, or even later, and find something hot to eat. I mean, a bowl of
The
beef
place
and
that
rice
left
and,
you more on
the
speechless, the place that left you more speechless, the kind of place someone's that you should say you have to visit that place, you have to see that place.
maybe uh, the one that left me more speechless, I would say, was Nara. I would say.
It's a place that whoever goes to Japan has to visit for you.
I would say so because I felt something there. I mean, there is a presence there in those symbols, in those holes that left me something to consider. I mean,
Something that really disappointed you, that you didn't like about behavior, how the cities were created, something in general that you
well,
didn't like
apart
too
from the
much.
fact that I don't like how the fact that there were no bins and there were no dryers for some reasons. I don't quite know. No, I don't think it was. Apart from these two annoyances, I think everything was quite
A
all
place.
right. I mean, I do like the idea of the combini, in which pretty much everywhere we went, there was at least one place that was always open at any hour, and there was something to take. I mean, it would be quite handy to have places like this in.
In Italy.
Yes, I
Maybe
mean,
maybe there are, but also always only in great cities.
well, it depends. For example,
Bigger
in my city, in my hometown, there is a supermarket that is open until 10 p.m., which comes in quite in handy. But that's all. I mean, and well,
do you want
all
to say
right.
something?
I leave the word to you. Your turn.
Want to say
My turn. Okay, now. Well,
He's trying to collect words.
honestly, I still have to get over the jet lag because that's really that really put me down. But honestly, consider that my as I said before, Japan was a country that on which I focused quite much, but in my interest also. You know that I studied the Japanese language, and now that I had the occasion of being immersed both in the cities and even the countryside, the mountain life of Japan, I want I will just say that what I feel is not an emptiness, but the sensation of that I feel some familiarity with this country. Maybe because I was trained with lots of captions, but okay, the language fluency apart, and yes, lots of. And yes, apart of also from the, I'm not fan of mega cities. This is something quite open and outspoken about, and seeing these never-ending sets of tall buildings, of concrete buildings, that's really disorienting for me. I suffered in Rome, even Bologna when I studied at the university. never took really part of. Never went around so much, not even participated in nightlife. This doesn't mean I didn't have fun. We didn't have fun. We didn't have a great time. It was just that if I have to talk about cultural shock, yes, it was being thrown in a megalopolis. That was a big cultural shock.
Something you are not used to. There's nothing in Italy, probably even in whole Europe, apart from maybe for London and Berlin, that can be compared to something like Tokyo.
Yeah, consider also the worst footage I got was when I visited London. Because yes, as I said before, yes, the public transportations, the lines, the trains, but you have to walk on a flat, on flat, also
Yeah.
on flat.
I lost. I checked this morning. I lost 4 kilos.
Yeah.
Yes, and also the vertical city concept can be quite
Yeah.
perplexing also because we at times we couldn't find some places because they were on some on they
On
were
the
not
second turf.
yes, we expected to see them right where we were on the first floor, and instead they were on
like
different
that night,
levels.
that evening in
Yes.
Hiroshima.
Yes, it was I mean that was a shock.
You too, something you suggest to do or not to do in Japan, and the place that left you more speechless.
First of all, learning a bit of some essential some phrases, or some even having some basic of manners will save you some severe headaches for sure. And again, it is better enjoyable if you visit Japan with. I think it's a bit contrasting saying be prepared with some with a base of languages and and manners, then expect yourself to experience Japan as a closed box. But again, there's still the elephant. There's still the elephant in the room that lots of Japan fanboys that come here to see this promised land, this mecca of.
And they find only delusion.
Yeah.
Because they crash against reality. It's that is a process that every fanboy has to make. Of course, the worst thing is to do it right on the place, because you see everything you dream for crumble. You have to accept the truth before going. My opinion is that when it's more than natural that a fanboy goes to Japan to see the place of his dreams. But he has to make the step of turning from a poor fanboy, a weeaboo, into a more sophisticated, more critical fanboy before going there, because like this he is prepared for what he's about to see. Otherwise, their delusion is really big, and can destroy a passion, and I see it happen.
If I have to say, I probably experienced a delusion, but from the other side. Because I was always told about this Akihabara that both as electronics also, but also from the pop culture point of view, was this. And I went there, it's like, yeah, okay, I can understand why some would find interesting or have some expectation, but. I'm sorry, I didn't want to solve. I didn't want to solve these ones. I'm so sorry. Sorry. But honestly, also let's be honest. It is more accessible than the average weebs would tell you. It is. I mean, I remember one of the last days I went lost on these street roads packed with stores, and there was a stores focused on electronics, but not just the cables or accessories, but also on the specific devices, but on specific accessories even also for radio amateurs.
Hmm.
They were.
Just think about the military shop.
Oh yeah, that was
There-
quite
there-
surprising.
It
Aki-
was, yes, it was quite.
Akihabara was the kind of place that one should take a whole day to visit, because it's a place where everything you need can be found,
Well,
but you have to
that
spend some
depends.
time because many activities are not even on the guidebooks.
But for sure, if you need some accessory for streaming, for recording, it is the right place. This is
That being said, I don't think there is all truly everything, because I looked for something and I couldn't
No.
quite find it.
well. I have to confess that I will. I have some. I have focused even on my pop cultural interest. I have some. I wouldn't say niche because because he's the expert here. I hate to say that, but even looking for some products. For example, I was looking from some music CDs from some even some figures that a bit of my friends asked me to go around. I had to really.
I make a video of the about all the things I bought. Just because it's becoming quite long and I still have to talk. The place you say everyone that goes to Japan has to visit.
Nico.
Nico.
It is not because it is. I will also say Shirakawa, but I have to say that we should stay a bit longer.
Mm-hmm.
Because I mean, being from having a thing from the mountains, even if you wouldn't expect, because but yes, that's something that there was those were places that I had to visit a bit longer.
Okay. But about me, almost everything I want.
Was also one last thing that one last
Yes,
thing that I have to say. Be sure to check about the ticket sales, because I have to say I put on my on the bucket list the Ghibli Museum, or Ghibli if you prefer the Japanese pronunciation. No, it wasn't quite close. It's that because we couldn't
We couldn't reserve it. Yes.
we couldn't reserve the tickets.
But I suppose this is just a problem of this period. They're still moving further
Yes,
from
but,
the COVID problem, and probably by next summer
Yes,
things should settle a bit.
However, it's never a bad idea to be careful
Yes,
and
and rent the place.
because also in some cases Japanese websites for these museums and such are not that that meant for foreigners, so it can be quite difficult to understand the things properly. So I mean, they're always kind if you ask them on the spot and like, but just be careful, because
it is cultural, because I remember even at my Japanese classes they explained me that in Japan it is customary to reserve tickets.
Not to
it is and it is a service that there are some tickets. Yes, you can get them on the spot, but it is way preferred if you take them.
It's
before.
not always possible, and that's
Not
why
always possible.
that's why I say that Japan has a serious problem, and the Japanese in general have a serious problem with the English.
Yes, so
It's something that Japan, a country that claims that for in the next 7 years aims to become the first most visited place in the world, has to fix. And it's necessary, it's mandatory to invest a huge amount of money, of resources in implementing
yes, but it's
foreign
But apart from language itself, it's also maybe a bit of a cultural issue.
Yes, it's a
In,
cultural issue, and that's why that's a since you said almost everything I wanted to say. So I think I'll concentrate on a few things in for my final considerations. One of these is that Japan can be as a double face, as two faces. On the in one hand, they can help you. They're quite open to assist you, especially if you're a tourist. But on the other hand, they can become really strict. Usually, when you talk in a shop, in a gift shop, in a souvenir shop, especially if we speak about quite big things like paints, like other things, or jewels, fragile things. Here you can hope to reach an agreement for an expedition. You have to talk a bit, but usually, by experience, you can always reach an agreement. This is something that Japan almost never does. And I saw it on first person last day in Akihabara when everyone refused to arrange an expedition for if I bought something. I told them I'm ready to buy something, but I don't have no more space with my luggages. So please, can you arrange an expedition? No, they always say no. You have to be prepared, especially if you go there for to have shopping. This is a warning that I'm more than
disappointed.
No, not a disappointed. It's something that everyone has to consider. This is a mandatory. For me, that I went in search for figures, I had to leave behind a wonderful Nanoha figure because simply it wasn't possible to put in my luggage, and they refused to arrange an expedition. You can send by yourself by the Japanese post office, but my fear is that even the post office has the same problem with the English that have in other places. So if you don't have a guide with you that can help you, or you have a minimum of Japanese understanding, you're in big trouble.
Yeah, invest in learning more. Than
Even considering that hotels, the same hotels can arrange expeditions only inside the country, not overseas.
Yeah.
Well, he pointed out the food. I must point out that we tried almost every kind of food for which Japan is famous. We tried the gyudon, we tried ramen, we tried sushi 2 times, and the second time in particular was something, as we said in the live, really unexpected and pleasant to live, to experience. The tonkatsu, everything, the karage, and we were considering to kidnap a ramen chef to bring him back to Italy so that we could always have ramen at our disposal, but they refused to help me.
We just missed the natto.
Well,
just to name the places I suggest things I can suggest to do, not to do. The things I suggest not to do is to go unprepared. Absolutely.
that would seem a good idea for any place.
Any place, but in this place, because don't joke around. I still have to meet someone that told me I'm going to Japan, but I don't plan to make big shopping. Everyone, it doesn't matter if it's figures, gifts in general. Everyone I know that went to Japan came back with tons of things. So it is something that you have to be prepared for.
Yeah, it was.
How did you like it?
We tried a couple of times to test Italian cuisine in Japan, but we always missed the occasion.
Well,
So this is something that
does it count the restaurant in Orai? No, that was not quite so. No, so this time we missed it.
Maybe
who knows?
we
next time.
were ready to do it. We had found a place that was marked as first class in terms of food test. Food test is not about the price, but we lacked the occasion, so fortunately not. Things I want to do, suggest to do is to go prepare, always go prepared, and have an open mind, because this is a place where you have to be open-minded more than other places, because there's always the unexpected. The unexpected is everywhere. Because as I say, they can be quite friendly, quite polite, as much as they can be quite skeptical and look at you with a bit of.
But it's the Uciso mentality.
But you know, that evening in Dotonbori, when I was alone, I went around alone, and even in Akihabara, I tested in first person, how the Japanese look among themselves. Because for the thing I told you, they told me plenty of times, especially if I use the mask, because you have to always wear the mask at the moment in Japan.
Yes.
I can be easily confused for a Japanese, and I noticed how they talked to me, how they went to me. Of course, when they looked at me more closely, they understood I was a foreigner, and they changed their behavior. But it was quite funny, especially when working in Dotonbori. I've been approached a couple of times, more than a couple of times, by the man of the Kyabakura that wanted to push me in. But they told to me because if they found out if you are clear foreigner, they come to you speaking in English. They try to put you in talking English. Instead, with me, they always speak Japanese.
Well,
Or the Kanto band.
But it was interesting to. And the last thing, the place that I suggest to see in any case when you go in Japan, I wanted to say Miyajima and I wanted to say Shirakawa, but in the end I made the decision. The place that left me more speechless was Takayama. A small town, mountain town, with plenty of fascination, old style, not too much known by foreign tourists, so quite authentic in spirit and hospitality. It's a place I'm really happy to see. So I think this concludes our final considerations.
There was a question if you are going to post more videos about our Japanese experience.
Yes, of course. As I said, I'll release a video about the things I bought. Just prepare. It will be a long video.
CJ Spencer unboxing
4
edition.
hours.
4 hours. I'm unboxing. I don't know because I need. I can make a live, but to make an unboxing, it's difficult to prepare a live. You should prepare. Have more cameras. Something that I not.
An unboxed edition. CJ Spencer unboxed edition.
And of course, I make other videos. I made hours of videos, photos, and I create a video diary, a vlog of the experience. So prepare yourself. They will be the videos I release in the next months because of course they take a while to be prepared. That's all. No other questions, I think. We'll talk again a bit in the future. If you will have the occasion, we could arrange something with you and your channel eventually. In the meantime, we salute you. We thank you for staying at our side during this journey. I hope you enjoyed as much as we did, and we salute. We see again in the future if we'll have the occasion to make our voyages together.
It is not a farewell. We shall return.
Okay, it's time to eat, and he still has a train to catch in a few hours. So we salute you again for the last time. This time, I'm CJ Spencer.
I'm History Nerd.
And the Flag Announcing guy.
See you.
That's all, folks.
A presto, arrivederci.
That's all.